radio show on the planet even the other stations are tuned in to.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any materials produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Into the Abyss with Peggy Gypsy. Peggy comes from a long line of spiritual mediums. She is also an afterlife researcher, a paranormal investigator, and she mixes her skills with her special gifts in order to seek knowledge of the unknown, paranormal, and metaphysical. Join Peggy live on Spreaker, Saturday nights, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. For some great conversation with awesome guests and some fun along the way. Be sure to follow Peggy's social media on Periscope, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For all of Peggy's sponsors, check out the links in the description. Here's your host, Peggy Gypsy.
Hello, hello, beautiful world. How is everybody doing? I first want to say happy 2020. It is a new year. It's new opportunities, new goals, new friendships. Everything has to be new this year. That's the exciting thing about it being a whole brand new year. It's almost like you can leave your past behind and start all over. It's amazing. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. This is our season 2, episode 1 of Into the Abyss with Peggy Gypsy. And I am very excited. There's so many things going on this year that oh my gosh. The one that I can just think about is our event in Gettysburg at the Lookout House with the Tennessee Ray Chasers. It's going to be Chris and Mike, and we are almost sold out, guys. We only have about 10 tickets left for this event, which is July 11th. So if you guys want to get tickets, make sure you go to my Facebook page or go to TennesseeRayChasers.com, click on the link, get your tickets. This is a VIP event only, so we have a lot of surprises. I will also like to thank everyone who showed up at Christmas with the Tennessee Ray Chasers here in Buffalo, New York. The event was a success. We had so much fun. We've had awesome feedback. The boys enjoyed everybody. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts at Mysterious Journeys for all the support that you guys show us and all the support that you guys show me as an individual person. Thank you so much. You know, this is why I do this, because I love you guys. I am so excited for my guest tonight. I just want to give a quick disclosure. I am super sick, as I was last year, but we'll talk about it a little bit with Sen. I'm super sick, so if I sound weird or if I mute you guys because I'm coughing and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm very excited. My guest tonight for my anniversary episode, he is the one that, you know, I saw him on social media. I followed him for a while. I looked up to him, but I was always kind of nervous to kind of message him because, you know, social media can get weird sometimes and you don't know what people are going to say but I did message him. I worked up my nerves, messaged him and asked him if he wanted to be on my show. You know, I said, hey, I don't have that many followers on the show, but I would love to have you on and pick your brain and let's talk. And here we are a year later, and he is my anniversary guest, and I'm so excited. Is Sen Elias from Crescent City, Conjure, my favorite city, New Orleans, Louisiana. Sen, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I know. Did you like that introduction?
I was enthralled.
I know, right?
That
Jeez.
event, that Tennessee event sounds great. I might have to slide through one of your events sometime soon.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, wink, wink. It may be soon enough. We know we can't announce stuff yet, but we do have plans.
Very cool. How you doing today?
I am, like I was telling you earlier, the weirdest thing, I was sick last year, and then around the same time, I am sick again this year, and we were talking briefly for the guys who are listening. Is this maybe some sort of my ancestors detoxing me from everything from, the prior year and then letting me start new? It's so weird that it's happening again.
Yeah, well, our bodies have rhythms, and we don't always observe all of our rhythms. So perhaps this is one of your natural rhythms.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I welcome it. Let's get rid of the negativity from the year before. Let's get all that out and start fresh and new for 2020. I'm so excited. So what is going on with you? What has happened? What's changed? What's going on since the year that you've been, this whole past year that you haven't been on the show?
It has been a crazy roller coaster ride. So when we first spoke, I think I was just opening up the shop, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so I have grown a lot, being so public now, because workers like myself, a lot of us come up in dusty rooms filled with incense and old books,
Mm-hmm.
kind of reclusive, you kind of got to be because you're in a certain head space, in a certain spiritual space. And then you may find your Munanso, your house, your coven, your Ile or whatever, and then you're around people who think like you, but being so public with your work is something that is new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have learned a lot about business. I've learned a lot about myself, things that used to really get under my skin. Don't.
Oh, I feel you.
Because at some point you kind of got to just, you plow ahead.
Yeah.
And so this year has been fantastic. Crescent City Conjure is continuing to grow. We have my goal with opening the shop was to build a strong community of like-minded people to support one another for continued growth and learning. And that's exactly what we did. So I have a really strong team behind me. Shout out to Jason. He's a really great partner.
Jason! I'll have him on next time as well. I'll have you both next time. Jason, shout out.
And we got more family that work more behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
keeping the business running. So I couldn't be more blessed. My personal spiritual path. I can never forget about my personal spiritual path, no matter how many people I help, and no matter how many people come to Crescent City Conjure looking for that type of assistance. I'm only as good as I have to give. So my personal spiritual practice is continuing to grow, and that feels great as well.
That's amazing. I mean, I've been watching like the videos you shared. You shared one not too long ago where you were making you were dressing the candles, and it's so crazy. Like when I watch your videos, it usually pops up when I'm having, like, I'm a mom and I work full time, and I'm always on the go, 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 and I always put myself last in everything because I'm always so busy. And I'll go on Facebook and I'll see your video, and I'm like, it makes me feel at peace. Just seeing the store, seeing what you're doing, just your energy, it makes me feel at peace, and I love it. I'm like, yes, this is what I needed right now. Sen, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I was saying about how watching your videos like makes me feel at peace when I have a busy day.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Because I'm in that space. When I'm shooting the video, I'm in us, we have to put on different hats. So sometimes it's business hat. But when I'm doing my work, I'm communing with spirit. I'm there, saying my prayers, being in a certain, on a certain frequency. So hopefully people can feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could feel it. I mean, it would be like a crazy, hectic day. And then, the last one that I watched, you were dressing the candles, and it was just. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. It seemed that we were having a bad connection, but we are back. I will try to add the first 11 minutes of the show to this episode. So, like that, everything can be, good. So, Sen, are we good? Do you hear me good now?
We're good now, yes.
Okay, perfect. So, like we were talking about, it's just crazy how like your videos just, I feel the energy. It feels so peaceful. I feel New Orleans when I see your videos, and it makes me feel at peace at home, and I love it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. For me, this work is sacred, and so I'm sharing a very intimate moment with people. And I try to maintain the balance of how intimate I get with it, because some things are supposed to stay hidden, but I do try to share that reverence with people over the videos.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely comes through. Now, what have you learned this past year with, having your shop in New Orleans? And now it's like, wow, you are part of New Orleans. Like, what have you learned this past year? Let's talk about the good.
Let's talk about the good. Have I learned? I think that when I say we spiritual practitioners, workers, we have our own routine, our own rituals, our own daily practice, and then we have our groups of other workers. Like I said, your Munanso, your Ile, your Coven, your house, whatever it is. Then you have those people. So I don't know how often the average worker gets to go out into the community, just random people that they might not have met through their social network. But the shop allows me to communicate with a lot of different people across the board, and I get to see how spirit moves. And I think that's really what I've learned. It's not just from a personal perspective or from a familial perspective, like a house or a coven or a group of like-minded people would be. It's watching these people who don't know each other, all discussing the same thing, coming in and wanting to share similar experiences, and that makes me feel like I'm having a conversation with something greater than myself, something that is moving amongst us. That is what I've learned. I think to observe how we as a species, as humankind, how we move together, how we respond to this spiritual tide that we are all experiencing. But we don't talk to each other or share that information all the time, so we don't know that. But I have the opportunity to hear it at the shop.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Now, what do you feel like when people come into your shop this past year versus the prior year? What is, without going too much into detail, because obviously everything is confidential when you do readings or you do spells for people, but what is like the one thing that people come in for that always sticks in your head, that is like, oh, here's another person coming in for the same thing? Like, what is it this year?
Baby, let me tell you.
Is it love? What is it? Money?
The number one thing, and I think it's just in spiritual work as a whole, not even in it's not even like in my shop or in this city. It's just like spiritual work, because you'll hear other workers complaining about the same thing, but it's always trying to get the man back or the woman back. Always trying to get the man or the woman back. That's always that's number one, always. Yes.
Really? Now we had a question from Darren. Can you just give it sounds like he didn't hear the previous episode last year. Can you just give him a quick background of who you are and what you do?
My name is Sen Elias. I was born with certain gifts. of being able to hear and interact with spirit in a way that set me apart from my peers. That led me on a journey of self-discovery and into several initiatory traditions, occult, esoteric, metaphysical traditions that communicate with spirit, that teach you the techniques of how to communicate with spirit according to tradition. I've been practicing pretty much my entire adult life. I own a business called Crescent City Conjure, and we help a lot of people in the New Orleans area.
Nice, nice. Now, he wants to know, what is the difference? The same thing that people always ask you, that they always confuse: hoodoo, voodoo. They always confuse it. And I even have people coming up to me, they're like, oh, isn't it the same thing? And I'm like, oh my Lord, here we go. No, it's not.
No, it's not. All right. So, I get this question like 10 times a day at the shop.
Yeah, because some people, they still don't understand the difference between hoodoo and voodoo.
Yeah, that it's kind of interesting. It's like, I don't know, I guess you just keep saying it until, hopefully one person gets it, but for Darren, voodoo is a religion. Benin, Africa is the home of voodoo. We also have Haitian voodoo, but it has a very clear hierarchy. It has a very clear initiatory process. It has specific rituals and workings and so on and so forth. When you get a chance, you should Google a Haitian voodoo fete, F-E-T. Because that looks very, and I'm going to say it. Here's my thing. Do people care what the difference between voodoo and hoodoo is? Like, because I wonder because it's like, if you're really interested, then I hope that you follow up with some of this, because, if you really want to know, YouTube, just a Haitian voodoo fete, you'll see what they're doing there, and then see how what I do is different. A lot of your questions could be answered there. Hoodoo is a diasporic tradition. A diasporic tradition means that our ancestors are African. We are African American. Because of that cultural divide, there was a lot of telephone that had to happen in order for certain beliefs to survive. So hoodoo is African American folk magic. Folk magic is different than an initiatory system. An initiatory system's job is to maintain the continuity of the tradition itself. Folk magic is organic, like the folk who practice it. And we could talk all day about the influences upon hoodoo that made it different than voodoo.
Oh, definitely. And I try to explain it to a lot of people. And I have a good friend of mine, which I'll give him a quick shout out. Brandon Bolden, he just moved, which you guys are going to be best friends, on my account, because he just moved to New Orleans. I want to say maybe a month and a half ago. He's a chef, he's doing his thing, but he's also he's into voodoo. So he's, doing his thing down there, just started. And I'm like, but I understand, but you also have to be said, you have to see everything. You have to have every option open to you. Because I'm one of those people, you can start, I come from my background with, Dominican Republic, which is voodoo, and people are like, oh, so do you practice voodoo Santeria? I'm like, no. I like to keep everything open, and I definitely going to have him stop by the shop so, you can meet him, talk to him, kind of guide him. I want you to guide him with the ways of New Orleans because, they're new.
I would be interested in knowing what type of voodoo he practices because, they're all spelled different to make a difference between what we're talking about. But there's New Orleans voodoo, there's Haitian voodoo. I've heard of plantation voodoo as well.
Yeah. I just heard about plantation voodoo, which was kind of interesting.
Of voodoo, so it would be interesting to know what particular path of voodoo he's going down.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because he's a Bolden, and that's there's a very famous jazz musician in New Orleans who had passed away a long time ago, is a Bolden. So it's almost like he moved there to find his lineage. You know what I mean? Like to find out about his ancestors. So he's on this spiritual journey there to find out where he comes from, because he's Creole and he just wants to kind of just discover his roots. So I'm like, listen, this is what's going to happen. You need to stop by the shop, tell him Peggy sent you, and you guys are going to be good friends, and I know it.
And we'll send them on by.
Exactly.
Any friend of yours.
Exactly. Any friend of mine is a friend of yours, and he'll give you hugs for me.
Yes, indeed.
I'll be like, hug my friend. But also, so you said that the most common thing that people come there, or, in this practice, is to, get their ex back, their boyfriend, girlfriend, to get back together. Now, why is it that you think that people go to that extent to try to get someone to return to them? I'm like, you need to go. I'm like, you need to go.
That's a great question. And it is because and I think it's a great question because this is something that the shop and all the work that I do is studying. I'm studying and practicing. It's not just a service that I provide to people. I'm studying and practicing my art. I'm becoming more accurate in my targeting with spell work, more creative in the way that I apply the work, more observant about how it manifests. It's a studying opportunity for me. And so with all of this loverback stuff, I have asked myself what is really going on here. And the thing is that, like, those type of consultations, we're not talking about anyone in particular, and so if any of my clients are listening, I love you.
He loves you. He's not going to say name situations or he loves you. Thank you so much. It's just me being nosy, trying to find out, what is it?
No, but just talking about the study of it as a whole, those because it starts with a consultation, right? I got to get inside these people's head because, you got to be careful. This type of work can attract people who have mental illness, who are a delusion, who are just confused about what we do as a whole. You got to clear out those misconceptions and kind of really see where someone's coming from in the first place. After a consultation, there's a reading. And so, let's go back for a second. In the consultation, what I try to tell people a couple of things, depending on their circumstances. I'll ask them, why do you want them back? After they did this and this and this and this and this, why don't you want somebody who can truly love you and be with you honestly? And the answer boils down to you can't control what the heart wants.
That's true,
and it is true. It's very, very true. Now the other possibility is that they're married. The couple is married, and the husband has left, or is leaving. And so that's a thing. Now that's truly understandable because they have kids in a house and so on and so forth. So, at the end of the day, I can sometimes understand why they would choose that route.
Now, what do you do if you feel that, it is somebody that you can kind of tell, like, hey, something's wrong. This relationship seems fishy from what they're telling you. And it's more of, like, have you come across like a stalker situation? Where, it is an imaginary relationship. They make it seem like, oh, they left me. Like, what do you do in that case where you feel like, hey, I don't feel comfortable doing work on somebody that I don't even think you were with? You know what I mean? Because there is a lot of mental illness out there.
Right. And that's why these preliminary steps are so important. They're so very important. So first is the consultation, which is just a conversation between me and a potential client for me to kind of size them up a little bit and see what's really going on. Next, we do a reading, and a reading will reveal things that they're keeping hidden from me. So some things that they didn't say, and that happens, 50% of the time, right? Where they'll say, "Oh, she left me," da 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 da. words will come up and it'll be like, okay, you're telling me that she left you, but you didn't tell me that you were hitting her. Stuff like
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you have to sometimes there's more pieces of the puzzle that aren't adding up. So typically what I do after a reading is another consult. If it is not favorable, if the original consultation and the reading has some issues that I need to resolve within myself, with them to come to a better understanding, then we'll do another consultation where, because during the consultation and the reading, I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes and formulating questions that I need to know before I do the working. And so at the end of it, the second consultation, I'll ask those questions to get clarity. Before they come to me, I always tell them it is up to my discretion to take your work or not. It is not me taking your work is not a guaranteed thing. It's not a product that you can purchase at a store. It's up to me if I want to take it or not. There are plenty of workers in the city and in the world. If you you can go to any one of them, but I have no problem with telling you I won't take your work. If it's not within my ethics, if it's something that I think is going to hurt you more than help you, and I care that day, because I don't always, because I'm the facilitator. It's not my job to judge. It's not my job to say what's right or wrong for someone. But sometimes it could get to a point where you're like, no, I'm not going to let.
You're like, I can't do this.
Yeah, and so if after all of that, it comes down to I'm not going to do this work. I don't feel comfortable. I don't. This doesn't.
Doesn't feel right.
And then sometimes it could feel great, and spirit will tell you not to do it. Sometimes you're like, oh, that's great, yeah, let's do it, and then everything will come back, and they're like, nah, we're not going. Nope, don't do it. And you're like, well, okay, I wish I could help you, but I can't.
Sometimes you have to, overall, you have to listen to the ancestors because they know a little bit more than what we know, than what's in front of us.
Because people may have life lessons they need to learn in their struggles. Yeah. Like there may be something bigger and better waiting for them on the other side. They just can't see it. And so if you do the working, you're combating against some movements of something bigger than yourself. And so, the ancestors or whatever spirits will say, don't do this work.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, and that's very admirable as you as a healer, spiritual worker, because I'm not going to put any names out there, but I do know a lot of people that practice voodoo that they don't care that it's a stalker situation. They don't care. They would still go ahead. They would still do it. And that just kind of makes me feel uneasy when I know that people practice this kind of stuff. And because I've had people try to do voodoo on me. Maybe the last time that it happened was about 15 years ago. And now I could talk openly, but it winded up being a best friend of mine at the time that was having work done on me.
Wow.
And it was the weirdest thing, because I remember I had one of my family members from Dominican Republic, little old lady, told my mom, I need to talk to Peggy. She calls me. She's like, someone's trying to do this to you. This is what you need to do. You're going to put a glass of water. She's going to walk by. The glass is going to fall and shatter. And you're going to know that it's her. And I was sitting at work because we all work together, and I put the glass of water. She walked by and that glass it was like just shattered. Yeah. And the look that she gave me was that look like, oh shit, I got caught. Yeah. So, it's admirable when I hear people, even though obviously it's two completely things, hoodoo and voodoo, but when I hear people that they like to do it for the good versus to cause hurt on someone else.
Well, the thing is that I work with both hands, meaning that I will curse as easily as I will bless, right?
Oh, honey, I believe you. Because we will curse. Yes, I believe you.
depending on what the situation calls for. But that's balance. That's a type of balance.
Yeah.
And the thing is that some people don't work in balance. They don't work in balance. They work out of ego. They work out of attainment, and so they don't care. They don't care the consequences for the person, and that's why money needs to be exchanged. That's how we wash our hands of the consequences that will happen to the individual who was asking for the work. So they say, hey, the money is exchanged. I'm not going to get the consequences for whatever this person asked for. So, hey, I got paid, and they'll get whatever thing they want. I don't like that. I think at the end there is a payback that happens. I think at some point in some life there will be a payback that happens with that.
That is true. There's definitely has to be a balance. Now, so we heard that the most popular thing is someone trying to, mend a relationship, a romantic relationship. Now, with the other side of things, what is the most common thing that people come in for in the dark side, in the other side of the hand?
Really? You're going to put me on the spot like this?
Come on, you love me. I'm just curious, because I can tell you from my culture what it is, from what I hear from my aunts and uncles and, the chatter. But I'm almost curious, on your side, what is it that people come in?
It's interesting because you get a lot of different, you get a lot of different things, all right? And so when I say dark side, some of it is not necessarily cursing. Some of it is just dark.
Yeah.
So you're not trying to curse somebody as much as you're trying to make deals with certain spirits. So in those deals you can gain power. In those deals you can gain riches. In those deals you can gain great attraction. But that's darker work.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then, we're not Christians, so we don't have the same ideas about the devil and stuff that, Christians do. And then, the darker stuff is the cursing. So let's say, so it's the same thing. You have to make a case for it. So it starts with the consultation and the reading and then possibly another consultation. But you have to make a case for why it is the right action to curse this person. And I don't do light curses. I don't do light curses. If we're going to hit somebody, we're going to hit them hard. So make a case for why you feel like this person deserves what it is you're asking for, because it needs to be justified. We don't do things against people for the fun of it. We do it because it is justified. Some way they have earned the work against them. So make a case for why you feel like they've earned it. If I agree, and if I'm in a cursing phase, because I balance it. So there's a period of time when I'm fasting, I'm praying, I'm wearing light colors, I'm covering my head, all that. And then there's a time where I'm wearing all black. My head's not covered. I probably have some type of charm underneath my shirt, or in my hat, and I'm ready to fuck somebody up.
That's Mad Day. Don't come to me on Mad Day.
When I'm there, I'm more than happy. When I'm there, I'm willing to take on cursing working for clients because I'm bringing that energy to myself.
That's interesting. So now, where I come from, when it's, that day, Mad Day, the person who wants something done to somebody else also loses something on the way. You know what I mean? So let's say I want to have work done on, I don't even want to say a name, Jennifer. I don't know a Jennifer.
Uh-oh.
Jennifer's that's a Jennifer listening oh my God, Peggy Gypsy doesn't like me. What did I do? But if I want to have something done on, let's say, Jennifer, and I have to give up something from myself as well. So I'm going to lose something in order for something bad to happen to this person. Is that the way that it also works on with hoodoo?
Well, no, not necessarily. And see, the thing is that I understand what's happening there, and it's similar to making deals with the spirit. And so, there's a communication gap for someone who goes to a worker and the worker themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so the worker themselves will probably tell a client that they have to pay for this, that they have to give something up in order to get that. But what they're really doing is giving an offering to a spirit, because that's how it works. That's the deal, right? Like you have to give something that's valuable from yourself to the spirit. It's a type of balance, right? And so it's not the same with hoodoo, because we work with justification.
Yeah, so, it's a big difference. Big difference.
Yeah. If it's justified, then we don't have to make. That's the balance right there, the justification, not the thing that you're giving up.
That's very, very interesting. Oh my God, I love it, because last time I wasn't able to get you to talk about the mandate side.
Trust me, I'm biting my tongue a whole lot right now. But
oh, I know. we have to keep it nice and light, you know what I mean? But I know the things that happen, and
love and light, y'all. Love and light.
Love and light. Love is love, everybody. Just don't mess with the healers. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I have a question for you from Darren. He says, have you done a reading that you regretted? Like you did a reading and then you said, damn, I shouldn't have done that reading. Has that happened to you?
No, I've never done a reading that I regretted. A reading is a reading. It's like going to the doctor. If you find something bad at the doctor, do you regret going to the doctor? No. I mean, you feel bad because you found something bad, because you found something that may be detrimental to your health, but you found it.
Yeah.
So, readings are always good. They just tell you what's going on. So if it's good or if it's bad, it's good to know. Now, I think perhaps the question that you're asking, or the question I'm going to answer anyway, is have I done readings that were just downright terrible and they made me feel bad? Yes, absolutely. I've had to tell people that close people to them are going to pass. That's not good. I mean, there have been readings where, so I don't consider myself a medium as far as dead people go. I don't consider that to be one of my particular talents.
Yeah.
But it will happen. And in a reading, I'm a conduit. And so sometimes, spirits will come through and want to speak to the person. I hate the way that dead people feel when they are talking to me. They feel cold and wet and desperate. And I don't like that feeling. That's why I don't do mediumship stuff. I mean,
mediumship is hard. It's hard. And especially if they make you feel how they died, it's you can lose your mind with those feelings, because you're just like, oh my God, how do I shake off that feeling once the spirit leaves? Like, what the hell?
If it's a violent situation that they died, if it was sudden, that desperation sends chills down my spine. And so, I'm quicker to tell that spirit to go away, than to allow it to speak through me. Yeah. I mean, the pain sometimes, then sometimes you get a cheerful spirit, but different circumstances.
Yeah.
But I try not to do mediumship at all, unless the person. Now, I've had a situation where I was in a reading and someone who passed in a violent way without closure when it came up in the reading, and sometimes in my readings, I'll say things that make no sense to the person who's there, because I'm not speaking to them. I'm speaking to something else. And so I hope that people think that it's just a little quirk, a little crazy quirk, because if they listen, they may be able to pick up on things that I don't really want them to be listening to. But this particular case, I said something to that spirit, and the client picked up on it, and they were like, "Who are you talking to? Is it da 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 da?" And I'm like, "Fuck!"
Oh man!
Yeah. So at that point, I had to let it speak through me. Right?
Yeah,
So
you had to.
yeah, I had to, and it left me messed up for the rest of the day. You know, so yeah, there are readings that I regret having to do, but you know, but is it that? So I guess that is your question. Long way around. Yes.
Yeah. So we have another question. Is what are your views on voodoo dolls?
On what dolls?
Voodoo dolls.
Voodoo dolls are not. All right.
I know
So
the difference, but some people don't. They classify everything together
right.
on spell
Exactly.
dolls, little.
Okay, so let me answer that this way. The concept that you're talking about when you say so, first off, nothing in Hollywood is what it is on the inside. Okay, so what you're seeing as far as voodoo dolls is not a thing for us. Okay, so you know, just understand that that's entertainment. What we do is something different. Now, there is a type of magic that is called sympathetic magic, and it is to fashion something in the shape of something else, right? So that would be the concept of a voodoo doll. You're shaping a doll to look like a particular person.
Yeah.
That comes from old work in Africa that would call. I'm not necessarily sure where in Africa, but it's called an nkisi, and this is a wooden effigy of an individual or a person or a family or a spirit. They can be a whole lot of things. They're just vessels for spirit. They don't always represent a person. In these things called nkisi, you'll usually find like a space in the center of the chest, and this is where the magic is kept. And there are different words for this magic in different cultures, but it's I'm going to say magic because I feel like the people listening will probably understand. But it's where the magic is kept, and in that little space is a bunch of stuff that connects the doll or the wooden effigy to something. And you'll usually see these wooden figures with a lot of nails going through them. And so this was an effort to wake the spirit up. And you'll see that technology used in a lot of African traditional religions or cultures, the idea of needing to wake the spirit up, because without that interaction, the spirit inside is dormant. So I think that when you go to the Hollywood side of things, it reminds me very much of an nkisi, right? Like an effigy of a person.
Yeah.
And these pins are supposed to be these nails to wake the spirit up. But the concept is all twisted. And then they don't, what I'm more concerned about is the mechanisms behind all of this. So, okay, I'm sticking a pin in a doll, so tell me how does this connect to the individual? Tell me how is it supposed to travel over space and time in order to affect someone, using metaphysical, esoteric, and occult knowledge. Explain that to me. If it doesn't make sense, then it's not a thing as far as I'm concerned.
That's wow. That was a great explanation, because most people, like, especially like you go to New Orleans, I'm not gonna name shops because I don't want to get looked at nasty when I'm there in May. Some shops in the French Quarter, I'm not naming, you walk in and it's like, welcome, here's the voodoo dolls, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna keep walking. So it's great when people, they think Hollywood, they think movies, they think, oh, I'm gonna do this, and so it's that was a great explanation for everybody.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I get it. I do. I mean, with the shops, we have to, and this is another lesson that I'm learning. We have to interface with people who have no idea of what this work is, and I have to, Peg. I'm telling you, when I first opened the shop, I was like savage. I was savage because I did not have time of day for a dumb question. I did not have time for someone who didn't even bother to Google, coming in here and asking questions that they could easily find on the internet. I did not have time of day. I learned a little bit of patience.
Patience. Guys, everybody who visits New Orleans, you're loved. But sometimes, even like when I used to, because I haven't been there in a while, but I used to be a flight attendant, it was almost like I became a local, you know what I mean? And I would get asked dumb questions walking down the street, and I'll be like, and it'll always be like that drunk tourist, and I'm like, child, you know where you're at right now? You're in New Orleans. Like, come on.
I know, and it's always a drunk tour. I'm telling you, it's like always a drunk tourist. And it's like, first off, you disrespecting my shop because you're coming in here and talking.
Exactly.
And second off, like, you really should show some respect about what's coming out of your mouth. This is not a pastime for some people.
No.
This is not an entertainment thing for some people. This is not a cool hobby for some people. For some people, this is their lives. This is their livelihood. This is their faith. This is their something that they hold very near and dear and sacred to them. So when those words are spilling out of your mouth, it really does influence how people want to then interact with you or not.
That is so true. But I can imagine the patience that you've learned to have so much patience this past year. And, you have to. You're in the French Quarter. You know what I mean? You're going to have so many different kinds of people coming through your shop. And, it's about giving them a quick education of what kind of shop. Quick education of what shop you're coming into at the moment.
Yes. And then also biting my tongue a lot because I gotta try to, I'm understanding and learning that, sometimes they don't mean no harm, right? Sometimes sometimes it is just entitled, kind of flippant attitude. But sometimes they don't mean no harm, and they're just asking out of ignorance. They don't know.
Yeah, some people just don't know, and like I get asked, so this whole spirit thing, you do this like for real? And I sometimes look, I'm like, oh no, I do this because I'm bored. This is like my lineage. It's because I'm bored. I have nothing better else to do.
The question blows my mind.
It does. I'm like, what?
It's like, people come into the shop and say, so do you believe in this? Are you a real practitioner? And I'm like, do you know how heavy that sign is outside that I had to lift to hang? Do you think I would do that if I'm just saying, like, do you think I would? No, like this is a baby of passion, baby, a result of a lifetime of work. I don't know anyone in their right mind who would dedicate a lifetime of work to something that they don't believe in, something that they can't see a value in somehow. Of course, I believe in this. I mean, I'm helping people. Like I don't. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. I wonder, but then again, there are some shops.
We're not going to name them. I don't want to be there, for my birthday in May, walking down the French Quarter, minding my own business, trying to make it to your shop and just be like side-eyed.
No. We're never going to name them.
Never going to name. All I know is when I walk into your shop, I'm going to be like, ta-da! I am here.
I'm not in the French Quarter. I'm in the Marigny. So I'm on Royal Street, and you can follow, like when you're in town, I'm on Royal Street, but I'm in, Marigny is a neighborhood area. And so
really?
Yeah, so I don't really deal with, I don't deal with that French Quarter kind of drunkenness.
Oh my God,
that kind of French Quarter vibe. It's a more neighborhood vibe. It's truly a hoodoo shop. So it's not a witch shop. It's not a botanica. It's a hoodoo shop. And so and I think that feeling is very evident there. I think being in a neighborhood area helps with that too.
Oh, I bet. Cause you're not getting, the Bourbon Street crowd, God bless their soul, good for the economy. Keep coming every year, every day, bring money into New Orleans, but you don't have that crowd. So I have a question for you. It says, what's the one object in the world that you would never want it to be haunted? That is kind of weird. What's the one object in the world that you never want to be haunted? Like, is there an object in the... Oh, somebody just said a toilet. That is hilarious. Darren, you're silly with your jokes.
What's
But
what's what's one object in the whole world that I wouldn't want to be
haunted
in the whole world
in
that
the
I would?
whole world. Somebody said in the chat, a toilet.
That would be terrible.
He's so funny. He caught me because I saw question. I'm like, oh, he caught me this time. But listen, I am so excited. I can't wait to visit you guys and come down. I'm definitely coming down May. And, we had a little side conversation before of stuff that we plan to do. And I'm excited. I can't wait. It's going to be
Yes, well, please. Well, let me know when you're coming before, so I can, go grab that red carpet for you.
Listen. Princess is in town. I need the red carpet. I need some crawfish. I need some good food.
Are you gonna be here during crawfish season?
No. When is crawfish season? I'll be there May.
Okay. Oh God. June,
You better freeze some crawfish for me. You better freeze it.
No, you don't want no frozen crawfish.
I know. That's what I get up here, and it is terrible. It is so bad.
It's not a crawfish season, but we're probably doing a cookout at that time. So maybe you'll swing like that. You want to see crawfish. Like I like the process of cleaning, because the crawfish got to get cleaned out first or purged. You got to purge the crawfish because everything that they eat isn't that great.
Yeah.
And so you want to get all of that out of them first, and then the crawfish boil. It's like magic. It's like a pot. It's like a big pot. I swear. Did you see that picture from the last crawfish boil that we did?
Yes.
Oh my God! The potatoes, corn, sausage, the
Oh my God.
hot seasoning. Ooh, the sauce alone. I could get a bowl of that sauce.
Listen, listen, I've been sick for a week and a half with no food, and you're just making because I know how good it is, and you're making me so hungry.
I'm hungry now.
But listen, you're there. You'll be able to go ahead and eat some good food. I'm up north. Come on.
It's all smothered, covered, and buttered. So then you got to deal with the expanding waistline too.
That's okay. Listen, I will be there for 3 days. I can afford to, eat for 3 days, get some weight for 3 days, and then hit the gym when I come home.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have to, because I swear they don't even let you go. Every turn you're like, can I get a salad? They're like, what's a salad?
Oh my God!
A salad with some gravy on top. Okay, we got you with that.
Oh man,
it's food. I swear.
Now I know I'm not sure, so don't quote me. Are you doing Hex Fest this year? Is that something that I saw? Can we talk about that? For the people who are listening, can you explain to them what Hex Fest is and when is it? Because I came across it like on social media.
Yes, so Hex Fest is a festival that's put on by Hex New Orleans, which is another shop in this area. Christian Day and Brian Kane, who are the co-owners of Hex, do a fantastic job of bringing different aspects of the community together. So he'll have different presenters from different spiritual practices presenting at the same festival, and so you'll get a Haitian Ugan, Haitian Mambos, you'll get Paleros,
Yes, you got me at Paleros.
you'll get hoodoo people, you'll get ceremonial magicians, you'll get a whole lot of different things, and so I think and then you get it set in the beautiful New Orleans, and he does a really good job because we start off on the Creole Queen or the Nachos, depending on which one, and so it all kicks off with a ride on the river, and so you get to see New Orleans from the river, the Mississippi River. The bend in the river is actually extremely special and extremely powerful, spiritually and magically city. It's why the city is here. It's the port of commerce for New Orleans, and it feels incredible. It's the perfect place to start the festival. And then all the presenters kind of introduce themselves on the boat as people eat and talk and mingle. So it's social. And I think that's a very important aspect of the festival because I don't really believe in a divide between teacher, student. We can all learn from one another. You know what I'm saying? And if we recognize a certain knowledge base in somebody else, then we can choose to engage with them like that. But I hate the egotistical pretense of some of this stuff. So I think that social situation really does break the ice and allows people to know that it's okay. We're talking. We're getting to know one another. There will be classes, but everyone's always accessible. And then, so it's 3 days of, talk about Hex Fest. That's when I'm going to be doing the cookout. So
God, here we go with the food. Now, what date is that? What date is Hex Fest? Because now, listen,
I believe it's in August this year. Don't. I'm
gonna have to look for it. Let me see. Hex Fest.
But we talked, and it's not solidified yet. And I don't know if it will be. But we did talk about it. We had a couple of conversations, but a lot of people arrive early for Hex Fest, 2 New Orleans. And so I have my cookout the day before. And so we spoke about potentially making the cookout a Hex Fest event. So that would be really cool.
So I pulled up the date, Hex Fest 2020. A weekend of witchery in Old New Orleans. It is from August 7th till August 9th. That is looking really good.
Yeah, it is. It is good. It's fun. It's educational. So for anyone who's listening, these spiritual traditions, I think society and on the outside looking in has kind of just put us all under one umbrella. Magic or voodoo or witchcraft. Yeah. But there's so many different variations. There's so many different, and they all come with a very diverse and expansive history. And so, if you want to know more about a more occult-based spiritual practice, magical spiritual practices, initiatory, esoteric systems, be it African traditional religions like Haitian voodoo or European spiritual traditions like British traditional witchcraft. Hex Fest is a good space to kind of taste a little bit of everything, to kind of get a little information from someone who has real credentials about that particular tradition.
That's, I'm reading about the event, and it's looking like I'm actually going to be, I want to go. I'm always open to learning from other people because I believe we're here to learn. I mean, we're never, if you say you know everything, then I'm like, I don't know what kind of person you are. We're here always to learn from each other. And it looks very interesting. And, one of the things I was telling a friend of mine, they're like, why do you like New Orleans? You always talk about it. Like, oh my God. And I'm like, listen, when I go down to New Orleans, I strip myself from everything. It's almost like I'm going home. It's like, I just become more of a minimalist, more natural, more pure. It's so weird. It's so weird when I'm in that town. It's just such a weird feeling.
I don't think it's weird. Like there's something. It happens to a lot of people. It happened to me. There's something in the soil. There's something in the water. There's something in the food. I don't know. There's something. New Orleans changes you.
It does. It's
even the longer you're here, the more it changes you.
It really does. It's like every time I visit, even like the way you dress changes when you're there. Yes. It's almost like, I'm up here with, my Louis Vuitton and this and that and this and that. But then when I go down there, it's almost like I want to leave all that behind for whatever amount of time that I'm in New Orleans and just be, it's so weird. It's just, I love it. And it's one of the places that just makes I feel at home.
Yes, I know what you mean, and
my spirit is like my everything is home. Like that's how it feels when I'm there. It's the best the best thing ever. It's like I feel at home. I feel like people understand me. I love it. I know why you moved there. I'm like, I know why you moved
I
there.
get what you're saying. When I got to New Orleans, I'm not a fashion model or anything, but I could throw a shirt on when I need to. You know what I'm saying? A good old
Oh
button
no,
down.
trust me. I'm gonna have my little outfit. So when we go out dancing, don't get it wrong. I'm still gonna, I'm gonna be
Right.
slaying it when I'm there. But what I'm saying during the day, those outfits are coming with me.
Yes, indeed, but it's so when I got here, it was more because I moved to New Orleans from DC about 6 years ago. For those people who didn't know that part of the story, but it was more of DC. You're more like button down
Oh
slacks.
yeah.
When I got here, almost immediately, my wardrobe changed. And the weather is different. Yes, there are seasons where it's super hot, but
Yeah.
no matter where you are, for the most part, dependent. Even in DC during the summer, it gets super hot. So
Yeah.
super hot is a season. So but here it's like you dress a certain way all the time,
Yeah.
and it feels more uncomfortable to be flashy here, and
It does.
I don't know what that it's got to be something about the spirit or the culture.
It's almost like to feel like to be flashy, like it almost feels disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like I'm being righteous. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those places where you're just kind of like, hey, I'm humbling myself to this town. Like I'm here. Like,
Well, I feel like New Orleans wants you to be. I feel like New Orleans doesn't want you pristine. She doesn't want you plucked and pruned. She wants you drunk.
she wants you drunk and roar and show me who you are. That's why I love her.
She wants you to fall in love with somebody. She wants you to dance. She wants you to I think that a person who's tuned in, submits to her right away, and I think that kind of even clothing choice is the first like, okay, it's your show. I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna let this go the way that it goes, to a degree, because God knows it could go a lot of different places here. So,
oh yeah, it could go a lot of different places in New Orleans. Oh my God! So you know what I'm gonna ask you, because I'm a big Frida fan. I mean, for those of you who don't know who Big Frida is, you better listen to Big Frida and some New Orleans bounce music.
You already know.
You already know. Now,
Yes, Frida.
Man,
Yes.
that's one person that I want to meet is Big Frida. I am I love Big Frida. It's one of those like you watch on TV and you're like, how are we not best friends? How are you not my best friend? I don't understand that. We're not aligned yet. How are we not best friends? But I love me some Big Frida, and I hope that she's performing somewhere when I go visit.
She was performing for New Year's. I didn't see her, but I know that she had a concert here somewhere. I went to the House of Blues, so I didn't see Frida, but I do love me some Frida. I do love me some Frida. The last time I saw Frida was at a Drake concert. So
Nice.
A little bit about me.
Love me some Frida, man. That's someone who came out of New Orleans and just took the world by storm. Didn't care, didn't matter, didn't listen. Just
didn't ask any questions.
Nope.
Didn't ask any. How do you feel about this? Didn't care. Didn't ask any questions.
This is who I am. Like, take it or leave it. I don't care.
Yes, take it or leave it. I don't care. And they took it. They loved it. And that kind of confidence, Frida's confidence, and talent is just work ethic. Is just like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That is amazing. Man, so we're almost to the end of the show, and you know how I like to close my show with words of wisdom. That's not going to change this season. So I'm going to let you end the show, and just a little message that you want to give the listeners. Yeah.
In Hindu, we put our ancestors first. They are the foundation on which we stand. They have sacrificed blood, sweat, tears for our very existence. It is important to build a strong relationship with our ancestors and never forget the love and the wisdom that they provided in life. We can still hear and speak to them even though they've crossed to another side. So take a moment and give thanks and honor for those who sacrificed on your behalf that you may continue the work that they began.
You heard it there, you guys. Sen, thank you so much. Stay on the line once I hang up here. Guys, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, I'm very excited for what season 2 will bring. God bless everybody. Be kind to one another. Don't gossip. Gossip makes you fat and ugly. Don't do it. You know I had to kill it. Listen.
Because they've been gossiping.
Listen, it's 2020. The difference between 2019 and 2019, I was worried about what people were saying. Gossip this, gossip that. It used to hurt my feelings. This year is savage mode, baby. Don't gossip. You're going to be fat and ugly.
Savage mode. I love it.
Savage mode, baby. So you guys, I will see you everybody. I will talk to you everybody next month. The time is going to be changing starting next episode. It is going to be from 8 to 9 p.m. and it is going to be the first Saturday of every month. So I'll make sure to post everything on social media. God bless you and good night.